spit on my Lord in every way. Yet I'm still welcome in the arms.
That's probably better.
All right, well, welcome to Talking Shop, and you were last week said you were going to make Ernie a name tag. Now he's out of the name tag pool.
Yeah, he's
We'll wait to see if he comes back, but we're here. Tim's here, Matt's here, and I'm Paul, and today we are looking at Luke chapter. Chapter 20? Chapter 20. I knew that. Verses 9 through 20. It's another parable. So we did the parable of the prodigal son last time, and this time we get another parable, fairly well known, I guess. But before we get into the parable, the context is important here, I think, maybe more so than some. Setting the scene, why he's telling this and why the Pharisees and the scribes are going to react the way they do is important. So we want to give us a little bit about the context that this parable is told in.
Matt does.
Matt does.
He really
Come on,
does.
Matt.
Come on. He wants to speak first. Come on, Matt. Go.
See, I didn't have to speak first. I was invited into the conversation. Look at that. So it's a little out of sequence as far as our lectionary goes, you might say, because this happens in the text after the triumphal entry, after Palm Sunday.
Right.
So Jesus is cleansing he's cleansed the temple, but it does appear that it's later on in Holy Week, because Luke tells us in the first verse of chapter 20, one day.
Yeah.
Right? So sometime after that point when he's doing this, and he's proclaiming good news to the crowds.
Yes.
And the scribes, the Pharisees, I think it's the chief priests actually. Yeah, scribes, elders, chief priests. So it's not the Pharisees. This is on the Temple Mount.
Right.
And they're coming up to him and saying, "Who told you could do this?"
Yeah.
Right. So, basically, not only with the cleansing of the temple, but also with this proclaiming, he's stealing their thunder.
Yeah.
Right. He's in their territory. He's taking them on, and he's saying, "I got the goods, and you don't."
Yeah, and he's doing that, as the text says it, by preaching the good news.
Yes.
That's stealing their thunder. I think
Right.
that's a good maybe thing we should hold on to, the way this is going to play out with them.
Yeah.
It's not that he's not coming straight out condemning them.
No.
Or saying,
No.
look at those people. Right. I mean,
This isn't the woes, right? Woe to
Right.
you,
Yes,
Pharisees,
very
or
good.
woe to you, towns. This isn't any of that. He's preaching. He's doing his stump speech. That's what he's working on.
Right. Yeah. So we get a little bit there at the beginning of chapter 20 about he doesn't tell them his authority, because they're not going to tell him about John.
Right.
That is a different conversation for another day. But then we get into beginning at verse 9. He tells a parable, and the parable, quite simply, is a guy's got a vineyard and he leases it out. So the vineyard, the work of the vineyard falls under tenants who are going to take care of it, and with the idea that he's going to come back and collect the fruit or the profit of the vineyard or whatever, or his share, his portion, whatever it is. So what happens? Before we get the son part, what happens with the vineyard?
Yeah, I mean, this is almost as known to us as, the parable of the prodigal son. I mean, this is the one where everybody's put it out. Everybody knows. Well, okay, so the tenants are the Jewish leaders, and the servants are the prophets, and then Jesus shows up as the son. They throw him out. Right, they're throwing him out of Jerusalem. Right, they kill him outside of Jerusalem. Right. They murder him. I mean, that's the word in there. That's first degree kind of murder word. And then the father gets ticked off, and he replaces them all essentially with others, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's the core of the story, and so it's something that certainly as preachers, but even as listeners, they're going to know this one.
Okay.
And so the trick is to teach it in a new way somehow,
right?
And maybe the connection with the gospel piece, right? The cornerstone of It's like the cornerstone that's rejected. Well, what's rejected? Well, Jesus.
Yeah.
But Jesus is the Word, right? John 1:1.
Yeah.
And the Word is the gospel and the cornerstone. So you could keep all those pieces at all those things that are rejected.
Right.
The freedom, Christ, and then what does it look like as stewards of the gospel? Because the gospel is the kingdom of God, right? The kingdom of heaven is like, and that kind of deal. So. And how to make those connections, I think that's a real trick with this text, because it's not like you're going to be throwing anything new, especially at your parishioner who's been in the pew for 40 years. They've heard this one, so what are you going to do with it, right?
Right. So, we'll get there. It's a lot. Let's start. So the servants, he sends servants. They obviously don't give him the fruit, and we can see this play out in the sending of the prophets. Maybe you can even think back to the previous conversation with John the Baptist. He was sent, right? What happened to him, right? He loses his head, these
right?
Kind of things. But that they're not doing what he gave them to do.
Well, they are doing what he gave them to do. That is, they are producing fruit in the vineyard. What they're not doing is giving that back to God. They're not giving that glory to him. They're not giving credit where credit is due, you might say.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. They're wanting to keep all of this for themselves and use it for their own benefit rather than using it for the benefit of the owner.
Yeah.
And here this almost becomes almost a stewardship sermon in the sense of they're wanting to keep the glory, right? When the glory is obviously going back to
tithing
God.
Sunday, right?
You could, right in the middle of terrible. Hey, when everybody's feeling sad and they're all feeling like they should get something back.
That's right.
Hey, Paul, you got to print the cards. Have people sign the card, right? You mail it back to them, right?
But no, this isn't even about stewardship. You can take this in the sense of seeking salvation, right? Mm-hmm. We want the salvation for ourselves. We think we work for it. We think that we're the ones that own it. We think that we're the ones that should get all the credit for it.
Yeah.
And God comes and he brings us his word and says, that's mine. You give it back to me.
Yeah.
And we say, no, we want it for ourselves. Yeah. And then we even see his son. Whoa. He's gonna take all of that? No. This is mine. And if I can take it on myself, if I can do the works, if I can produce the fruit, if I can do all of these things, then the inheritance becomes mine.
Right, because it's my children, my house, my 401k, my bank account, and rather than seeking how you can leverage it for the kingdom of God, you see how you can leverage it for yourself.
Yeah, and so of course we look at the son who says the kingdom is mine, and we say no. I want the kingdom, and I'm going to work for it. I did the work for it. I put in all the time.
So let's go back to so in the text he sends the son. That's sort of that climactic moment with this sort of they'll respect him. This is my son. This isn't some other servant. Right. This is my own child, my begotten. Right. That he sends, and of course the climax of their resistance meets it at that same point. Right.
Yeah.
Where the kind of the highest emissary of the Lord of the Vineyard is sent, and the highest violence is met out against him.
Yes.
Because finally now it's gone beyond the beating or we were going through the Greek where there's they flayed him or however but it's pretty brutal.
And then this is Cain and Abel, right?
And
they can't kill the master, but they can kill the son.
Yeah.
Because the son shows up, right? You can't kill God, but you can kill Abel because he's right there next to you.
He's right there, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there he is.
It's the same story over and over and over again.
And so the conclusion of what Jesus says brings out a big shock, right? He goes, so what's going to be done now? Well, the Lord of the Vineyard is going to come, and what he's going to do is he's going to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, he's going to judge it for what it is.
Yeah, so a vineyard of his that is not handing on the fruit.
And he's going to take what's his either way, right?
Yeah, it's still his. Yeah.
And see, I mean, so you can put this onto the Jews and onto the temple and all of that,
sure.
But this becomes us as the church.
Yes.
We have the gifts of God, and God has made us stewards of those gifts. And if we're not using them wisely, he's going to take them away.
Yeah.
and he's going to give them to somebody who's actually going to bear the fruit and give him the glory.
Yeah. And so, and they have the right response, right? May this, I mean, they're shocked by this. Like, he could,
this can't happen.
he could take it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that
Right,
would be a
that's-
hell of a sermon,
yeah.
like to say to your people, like, God could take this away from you.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not
Wait,
being faithful.
we built this building.
Yeah,
We've been here forever. We've sat in these pews every Sunday. What do
That's
you
right,
mean he
that's
could take that?
right, yeah.
He would not
Never,
take that
he would
away
never,
from us.
We're an Augustana congregation.
Yeah. So he moves right from there to this language about the stone, and which kind of shifts metaphors a bit, right, from the vineyard and the stone. But again, it's that thing that's in other words, it seems like with the stone, it is you're not getting away from this.
Yeah.
You're either going to stumble over it,
Or it's going to crush you.
or it's going to
Yeah.
crush you.
Pulverize
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
was the Greek
yeah, we were
word.
looking at it's a
Yeah. Grind into dust.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so there's no getting away from this.
You can't get around Jesus. Well, I mean, that's the C.S. Lewis thing. You know,
Yeah.
you can say he was a lunatic, or you can say he was God, but you got to say something about it.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And either way, you're destroyed.
Right.
And I think that's the key to what Jesus is really saying here is my words are going to be harmful to your psyche, to your ego,
Yeah.
to your person, no matter which way
matter
you
which
take
way.
it. Whether you recognize
I'm
me
gonna
as
steal your
Lord
glory no matter what you do.
and you find out that you're not in control,
goodness.
or whether
You get that glory.
yeah,
Not
or
gonna
whether
be
you
yours.
think you're Lord,
Yeah.
and I will come and take you down.
And you know, that's a great. This is why they respond the way they do, right?
Yeah.
Their immediate move is we got to get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
Which is why it's this time of the church year we're going to be doing this, because we're moving towards Holy Week and the culmination of they're going to kill the son
Yep.
of the Lord of the
Building
vineyard,
that case,
right?
yeah.
And so they're looking. They want to get rid of this guy because they know he's talking about them, right? To preach this, I think there's a lot of power in those images, and I think we can find some real ways, maybe some hard ways to pull out of the people what is it that they are holding on to as their own thing, right? And especially if the context is the preaching of the gospel, right? Mm-hmm. It is this is what you've been given.
Yeah.
You've been given the fruit you have to go. This isn't a text. I guess I wouldn't see it as a text of go make sure you're bearing this kind of fruit.
Right.
This kind of,
No.
The point is you've got the fruit. The
Right.
fruit is the God. You can forgive people their sins, right? You can be compassionate and kind,
Yeah.
right? Do that, right?
Yeah.
Or he might take it from you and give it to somebody
Yeah.
else.
Are you willing to give that glory and credit to God and let
God.
Him use it as
Right.
He sees fit,
Right.
rather than you being in charge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, powerful. Yeah, it's good stuff there. I think there's the threats, or maybe the reminder that this isn't yours, is maybe overarching a great theme, however you're going to pull it.
And there's the good news too,
yeah,
because that's a benevolent owner who has given us the vineyard,
Yes.
and who has given us the keys
Yes.
to the kingdom, and who has said, "Go and bear fruit,
Yeah.
and I will give you whatever you need to make that happen."
and you're not, and you're not getting out of it. He will. He expects his fruit,
Yeah.
right? And it's a gracious thing. It's a wonderful thing you're there to give.
And it's not your vineyard. I mean, just from a pastoral standpoint, right?
Takes away the fear, right?
Right.
If it fails, it's not on me.
It's not your church.
Right.
It's right, which is comforting.
Comforting for
Right.
I would think.
Yeah.
It's his vineyard. He just wants you to remember that it's his
Yeah,
vineyard.
so
you know?
we should be able to do this with joy. Then.
Yeah.
I mean, it should
Yep.
be, right?
And
Yeah.
heed the words of the messengers that He sends to us,
Yeah.
and listen to them.
All right. I hope that's helpful. Take a look. Go to craftofpreaching.com. Like us. Subscribe. Share us with your colleagues if you think it's helpful. And we will be back again next week. God bless you. Enjoy your preaching. Okay, don't.